Are you ready to seize the game-changing potential of Article 6.2 of the Paris Agreement? This instructional video will guide you through the crucial steps of preparing to tap into the opportunities it offers. Discover how this groundbreaking agreement promotes cooperation between countries to achieve their climate targets and opens the door to global financial markets to fund vital development projects in the Global South. Join us on this empowering journey towards a sustainable future. Let's dive right into the essential prerequisites that governments from participating parties, also known as responsible entities, must establish to be eligible to participate. These 8 key requirements are non-negotiable for accessing the opportunities offered by Article 6.2 of the Paris Agreement. So, let's get ready to equip ourselves with the knowledge and tools we need to make a difference in the fight against climate change. The first step towards eligibility is to ensure the participating party is fully compliant with its UNFCCC reporting obligations. To meet this requirement, the party is prepared to deliver a BTR, Biannual Transparency Report, no later than 2024, and must have submitted its National Inventory Report, NIR, as part of its BTR. Without this vital foundation, it's impossible to move forward toward unlocking the potential of Article 6.2. Step 2. Article 6.2 requires the participating party to put arrangements in place to operationalize its participation. The government will need to set up a mechanism to recover costs for the dedicated Article 6.2 technical and policy experts involved. This is usually done through an administrative fee. Step 3. Article 6 involves identifying responsible technical government institutions to implement Article 6.2 processes. This could be the same national authority designated for Article 6.4 mechanism, which is usually the Ministry of Environment or any other technical entity under it. The office, which is the national focal point to the UNFCCC, is usually responsible for authorizing an Article 6.2 project and issuing the mitigation outcomes once these steps are recommended by the technical entity. Step 4. The government must ensure it has a competent authority for Article 6 cooperation in place. Dedicated technical expertise in the government will allow the participating party under the cooperative approach to review and clear project documentation effectively ex ante, at registration, and at issuance of the mitigation outcomes. This technical team will be responsible for reviewing project documents, such as the Article 6.2 project document, the validation report, and later, the verification reports. Having a technical team in place to review project documentation is critical to ensure the integrity of the emissions reductions generated through Article 6.2 projects, and making sure internationally transferred mitigation outcomes, ITMOs, do not jeopardize achieving the NDC. Step 5. For Article 6.2 implementation to be effective and successful, a government from a participating party will need to be prepared to implement the established processes and timelines. Effective government processes give investors the necessary trust in the government's readiness to engage in Article 6.2. For this to happen, the government must establish the processes and timelines for issuance of the letter of authorization, the preparation of the initial report to UNFCCC, the protocol for issuance of mitigation outcomes and corresponding adjustments, as well as annual UNFCCC reporting, and implement the processes successfully. Step 6. A robust and reliable system for tracking mitigation outcomes is essential. A participating government will need to have access to digital infrastructure to serialize mitigation outcomes, track serialized mitigation outcomes, transfer or retire them. This can be done through a national infrastructure or through the global registry set up by the UNFCCC. The serialization of credits involves assigning unique serial numbers to each unit of mitigation outcome generated through an Article 6.2 project. This is an important step in ensuring the integrity of the mitigation outcome, as it allows for accurate tracking and accounting of each unit. Step 7. Participating governments will have to apply the established processes for the application of corresponding adjustments for an indicative multi-year emission trajectory. Corresponding adjustments are an accounting mechanism that ensures that participating parties or entities that use mitigation outcomes generated through Article 6.2 projects do not count those same emissions reductions twice. Corresponding adjustments are necessary to avoid double counting and to ensure the environmental integrity of the Paris Agreement. Step 8. Under the Paris Agreement, all parties are required to report on their greenhouse gas emissions and their progress regularly toward achieving their NDCs. In addition, countries that participate in carbon markets under Article 6.2 are required to annually report on the mitigation outcomes generated through their participation in those markets and how participation in cooperative approaches contribute to achieving the NDC and long-term low-emission development strategy. These are the key steps for governments to prepare for participation in Article 6.2 of the Paris Agreement. By implementing these steps, governments can ensure that they are able to effectively cooperate with other countries in implementing their climate change commitments, enable private sector investors to engage at scale, and ultimately be able to benefit from the many opportunities to finance development projects. Thank you for watching.